what do you think? I know you've talked about I've heard you bring up the that hermetic necessity to get into sort of the muck of your own existence and understanding, the muck of existence around you. And I think Jung touches on that really well, and so does Manly P. Hall. I think in Western society, or at least like the Abrahamic influence in Western society, a lot of like that acquiescing the dark side is lost because people are afraid of like pacts with the devil and shit like that. But there's so much more to it, and I think alchemy is a great, it's not the only way to wrap your head around it, but alchemy and hermeticism is a great pipeline for understanding, like sort of in that like Solomonic way almost of harnessing those things so that you can, you separate the wheat from the chaff, but also a lot of like the stuff that you might come across in shadow work is, you know good and evil aside, there are just like underdeveloped, unnurtured parts of your personality in the shadow.
Yes, modern people have a tendency to have black or white thinking, when in reality, it is very much a polarity, which means that there's also a middle ground where these things mix. We also see that in the ancient symbol of the yin and the yang in Taoism. So, to have this conversation, we need to wear two different hats here. We're going to wear our psychological hat, and then we're going to wear our occultist hat. So first, let's start with psychological hat. Carl Jung was a psychologist who probably dabbled in occultism. There's some pretty heavy hints that he did.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that. So from this perspective, Jung talks about the archetypes. He breaks it down into 12 subtypes. And oh my gosh, what are there also 12 subtypes of? The zodiac sign.
Yeah.
So you are a vessel. So I want you to think of yourself as whatever kind of vessel. Let's say maybe a vase. And inside of you, there's the capacity for all 12 zodiac signs to exist. Now, the zodiac signs have both negative and positive traits. Now, this is because these are the challenges of your alchemy. So for example, let's do Aries, right? Aries is a fantastic leader, but they also have a big ego. And so those two different forces have to work out and hopefully find balance. So what Jung is describing here is that there are parts of us as kids, right? Where, for example, let's say, oh, mommy doesn't like the aggressiveness that this Aries child has, and that gets repressed. And this can go for anything. And most oftentimes you see it in aggression and sexuality, a la Freud. So what we're seeing here is from, let's put on our occultist hat now. So shadow work is going and looking at the shadow side of things in your life. That could be personality traits, that can be addictions, it could look like a lot of things. And you know what? A lot more people have pacts with the devil than they realize because they don't call it the devil. It's alcoholism, it's addiction to drugs, it's addiction to porn. Whatever it is that's not allowing you to live your highest and best, most whatever they want to call high vibrational life, is because you made a pact with something that has a hold on you. And that's where the colloquial idea of shadow work comes in. But it's not as easy as journaling. For the love of God, it is not just journaling.
Yeah.
Actually, Jung would say if you're not doing shadow work with a psychologist, you're not doing it at all. And I low-key agree with that.
Those are the places that you have to go. Like, shadow work is not just, I don't know, like remembering some unpleasant memories. It's like uncovering like aspects of yourself that you haven't even had like the ability to shed light on.
It's you can't see it, you're blind to it.
Yeah. And I would agree with you insofar as like in terms of the needing a psychologist. Given my punk rock DIY inspirations, I think like even with any pushback I would put on that sentiment, you really shouldn't just do this stuff on your own. There's there's a reason we're social creatures, And there's also really something to be said for like the apprenticeship, the student and teacher mentality, and like,
You need someone to check you.
yeah, yeah.
That's ultimately what it is. You can't, a sick person cannot heal themselves most of the time. Right? You need someone to do that check and balances for you. The
Hmm.
big problem is that the word shadow work, people are using it to mean self-reflection.
Mm, yeah.
That's Shadow work is a deep psychological, I'm gonna say a journey, because that's what it is. It's a
Hmm.
journey and it kind of low-key sucks. Going and sitting and thinking about what you did and how you were hurt, very different.